bloated nitwit with his cotton candy hair, radioactive tinted skin.
It ain't that full.
I think I might have had a little bit of an effect on him, so I'm gonna keep working that. Keep working that. He was a nice guy. I mean, he made poor
That's
choices.
not turning the tables. That's the
yeah.
It's giving America's next top cult leader.
Hey everybody, this is Dean FM, Dean Fraser Milford here for your creature comfort, and today I wanted to do another reaction video. This one is going to be two. More that around to find out. Hashtag FAFO. That's going to be hashtag FAFO season. MAGA publicly regrets their vote, realizing Trump is the greatest con man of all time. Check out my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube official YouTube page. I hate to be up in this political game, but unfortunately my existence in many ways, in many aspects, is politicized in and of itself. So I think I have a right to speak, and I'm willing to take the risk of whatever the hell that means.
Imagine being so stupid that you look at this treasonous, traitorous, totally corrupt, self-serving, ignorant clown, this racist, semi-illiterate moron, this pathologically lying, feeble-minded, morally bankrupt, constitutionally illiterate simpleton, this bloated nitwit with his cotton candy hair, radioactive tinted skin,
It ain't that
and
full.
obese dishevelment, and think, yeah, I think that's a guy I admire.
I don't get it
Hey,
either.
TikTok fans, I want to tell you about my plane ride back from Europe with the MAGA man. I'm trying to make this as short as possible, but maybe a little
Come on,
long.
sis.
So,
What happened?
I don't know if you know this, but flying to Europe, the flight is about 7.5 hours just this side of Europe.
Yeah,
because you're flying with the jet stream. When you're flying back, it's about 9 hours-ish because you're flying against the jet stream. So it's a longer flight coming back. Yay me. So I'm Delta Gold Medallion, Sky Priority. I was sitting in comfort class. I was on the 2-seater, so it was like, the 252 plane. So I was sitting at the window, so the seat next to me, the aisle seat, he was sitting in. When he came up, y'all, I was already on the plane. I was like, fuck. You could just tell. You could just tell. He was, burly, bearded, wearing a military hat, like all the things, right?
Yep.
I even messaged my mom. I was like, crap, there's a guy sitting next to me, but I think he's probably MAGA. I even said that to my mom. So we're on the flight, we're flying. At some point, I look over, he has his laptop out, and I see he has something up, his medical records. And there's a logo there for my local hospital. And so I probably shouldn't have said anything, but I said, where do you live? And he goes, blah, blah. I was like, oh my God, that's where I live. And I said, I just glanced over and saw the logo for the hospital. And I was like,
Realizing that
oh
there are
my
people in this
gosh,
town.
you must be in that system too. And he's like, I am. And so we started talking to figure out we have multiple people that we both know. I probably have met him at some point and just didn't know, like years ago, out somewhere.
More different than we thought.
And so come to find out, he is an ex-Army Green Beret, Special Forces. He's a Green Beret.
Yeah.
He's coming back from Prague from this military reunion he has with some of his Green Beret buddies. And he is trying to get signed up for VA benefits because he has no medical insurance. And I said, well, good luck with that. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, because this administration is like cutting all the veteran benefits. And he's like, well, I don't know about that. And I was like, no, they are. Let's talk about it. So we started talking about it. And so in the process of this, of course, I come to find out he's a Trump supporter. And so I said, let me ask you something. I said, what did you feel about January 6th? And he said, I thought it was great. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I said, these people killed, maimed police officers who later committed suicide. He's like, well, yeah, there wasn't that many, it was exaggerated. And I said, it doesn't matter if it was 1 or 100. I said, I said, these people were just doing their job.
They tend to minimize.
He goes, well, yeah, but they shot that woman. And I was like, she was breaking and entering, basically. And I said, she was told to stop multiple times, and she did not stop. They said, stop or we will shoot. They told her what was going to happen.
That
She
was
thought
a
because she was a
rough-ass
white woman,
day.
it wasn't going to happen, and it did. He's like, well, yeah. And so we had quite an intimated conversation, I will say. He was gesticulating. I mean, we weren't arguing, but we were having a discussion. And he got a little loud a couple of times, and the lady across the aisle from us was like giving us the eyeball. I said, you need to bring it down a notch. I said, I'm not trying to be bossy pants, but I said, people are looking, and we don't need to get ejected from the plane.
Better than I am. I'm not going to sit there and have no law
civil, because we know the same people. And so then I said to him, I said, I have another question for you. He said, what? I said, what if, this administration calls martial law or at some point calls the military forward to exert force on civilians? Would you agree with that? Would you participate in that? He goes, that's not going to happen. And I was like, don't say it's not going to happen, because it's being talked about. It has been talked about by the administration. Yeah. And I said, so I'm just saying, you need to be thinking about that. If you were called on, or any military was called on to exert force against civilians,
if it gets to that point,
would you do it? I said, because that is a huge issue. And I said, because technically, even though the military serves the president, they take an oath to the Constitution, not to the president. And I said, so, yeah, I would like to think that most military people would not do that. So anyway,
I would like to think so,
here's
too.
the funny end to the story, y'all. So I was talking about getting a pew-pew, and that I needed to learn how to shoot my pew-pew. And he's actually, I don't know if it's going to actually happen, but we have tentative plans to go, not this coming weekend, but the next weekend, March 8th, to a gun range, and he's going to show me how to use a pew-pew. And I know y'all saying, Julie, why are you hanging out with him? Well, I think I might have had a little bit of an effect on him, so I'm gonna keep working that. Keep working that. He is a nice guy. I mean, he made poor choices. That's not the table. That's but yeah, if he can teach. That was my story. It was quite interesting. That's the very briefest version of it. This was a 9-hour plane ride. Remember?
It sounds like it was long. But it sounded
Let's just go ahead and say it out loud. These MAGA FAFO moments, absolute gold. Not in a patriotic, bald eagle screeching kind of way, but in a this is America's messiest reality show and we can't look away kind of way. It's like the political version of The Real Housewives, but with less glam, more delusion, and a cast of characters who think being loud is the same as being right. Every day, there's a new plot twist. Someone gets indicted. Someone gets caught lying. Someone storms a courthouse dressed like it's cosplay night at a country fair. Yeah. And just when you think the season finale is near, bam, another episode drops, full of dramatic monologues, public meltdowns, and unhinged social media rants. Honestly, it's giving America's next top cult leader, and Trump is serving main character energy like his name is tattooed on the Constitution.
The Trump administration is telling seniors, if you don't get your Social Security check, don't complain about it. At least that's how it appears, as Howard Lutnick, Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary, went on live TV to say this.
Let's say Social Security didn't send out their checks.
Yeah.
This month. My mother-in-law.
She wouldn't complain. I heard this. It's ridiculous.
She wouldn't call and complain.
Yeah, ridiculous.
She just would. She thinks something got messed up.
No.
And she'll get it next week.
I don't understand that logic.
Be like his mother-in-law. If you don't get your check, just assume it'll take care of itself next month, and you go ahead and suffer for a whole month. Maybe go hungry. You got a metabolism that should hold you over until then. This is their justification for dismantling the help center, the call centers within Social Security. Is that senior probably wouldn't complain anyways. They'll just tough it out until their check comes next time around. When people say that cruelty is the whole purpose of this administration, sometimes I find it hard to argue anything else when they say things like this.
But here's where it gets less entertaining and more sad. Every time I talk to someone still deep in the MAGA sauce, I walk away wondering, how did we get here? Not in a philosophical sense, but literally.
How did we get here?
How did so many people get duped this hard for this long? Because when you strip away the flag waving and caps and chants, you're left with folks who genuinely believe Trump is doing right by them. Even as their wallets get lighter, their rights get chipped away, and their futures get dimmer by the hour. These aren't just misinformed people. Some are your neighbors, your relatives, your old high school classmates
who now post
14-paragraph rants on Facebook with blurry memes and conspiracy theories about grocery stores installing spy cameras in the lettuce aisle. And the sad part? These folks think they're winning. They think every move Trump makes, no matter how reckless, divisive, or flat-out cruel, is some kind of masterstroke. Like he's 3 steps ahead in a game the rest of us just don't understand. But what exactly did he promise them? Day 1, miracles, lower prices, jobs for everyone, that the world would respect us again? I hate to break it to you, but the only thing Trump has delivered quickly is drama. Everything else? Still on back order. Grocery prices, sky high. Eggs cost more than a monthly Netflix subscription. Gas? Don't even talk to people in the Midwest about gas unless you're ready for a TED Talk on broken promises and broken bank accounts. and America's global image, we went from leader of the free world to that one guy at the party who keeps yelling and no one invited. But the real gut punch? Veterans. These are the people who bled, sweated, and sacrificed for this country.
They went out.
And what do they get in return? Bureaucratic red tape, underfunded programs, and policy decisions made by people who've never once had to face the consequences of war, but are quick to wave a flag and shout about patriotism. And let's not forget other vulnerable groups: immigrants, people of color, women seeking basic health care rights. This administration has been a wrecking ball to the very communities that make America what it should be. And the saddest part is, the damage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, like a law passed in the night, a service quietly defunded. It's a cautionary tale. And while some are still sipping the Kool-Aid like it's communion wine, the rest of us are here, eyes wide open, watching history repeat itself. This time with worse lighting and even fewer facts.
I hope that it's cautionary and that we are able to look back and be like, okay, we're in better times now. Hopefully it won't get to like the Antichrist done fucks up the entire world stage of the Antichrist story. You know, hopefully we don't actually fulfill that. Because, you know, Antichrist, he started as a leader. He didn't start as coming out of the ground like devil horns and stuff. He started as a leader. Y'all gotta be careful. It's a very sad day. My heart goes out to everybody who's affected by these things in any negative personal way. That, my dear, was reacting to MAGA publicly regrets their vote, realizing Trump is the greatest con man of all time at these showbiz. I hope you have a nice day. Bye-bye.